Joining me on the line as he does every Friday on the show, he is from Cinemablend.com. He reviews movies, writes about them, and talks about them. Ladies and gentlemen, is Mike Reyes. Hey, Mike, what's going on?
Oh, not much. It's a Friday. Things are going well. How you doing?
What movies we got this week?
Yeah, I guess we'll just jump in. You know what? We had a great opening. I think we had a really good opening before. And then, life got in the way, and now we're just, we're on a tangent timeline, so to speak. I'll throw that out there for your Picard brain to sort of mull over.
New episode of Picard last night was really good. It's been really good so far. It's been the best Star Trek they put out in a while.
I'm really looking forward to starting it just because I've always loved the character of Picard, and the fact that they're doing more Star Trek time travel, it's like, yes, please. Star Trek and time travel are like coffee and cream.
Real quick on it, because we do have the movies to get to, but we were going to probably talk about Picard at some point, and that was as good a time as any. This season...
With Leah Thompson directing last night's episode.
Yeah, and
if I'm not mistaken.
It was really good, and she did a really good job with it. It's really good. But what I was going to say is, like, last season, it was like, hey, we need to do something really different with Picard. And they did something really different with Picard, but did it work? Kind of. It didn't. It felt like Picard not in a Star Trek world, right?
Okay.
This season feels like Picard, but he's in a Star Trek world.
Ooh.
And that's
kind of like getting back to basics.
Yeah, and it's not just doing it's hard to explain because there's a lot going on in the first season of Picard that it's like I don't understand what's happening here, and you just needed a reason to make Picard kind of question what's going on. You just needed to throw something at him. Now it feels more natural this season, I think is a good way to say it. Like they worked out the kinks of the, what we're trying to do in the first season, and we found that happy balance between doing something different and what fans want.
Yeah, I mean, that actually sounds like a good, that just sounds like what any good TV show would do, especially something in the Star Trek world. As established as that universe is, there's always a shakedown cruise, so to speak, where you've got to work out, okay, how are we approaching? I got to go with the terminology, man.
No, I get it.
How do you approach this angle of Trek?
Yeah,
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
And I think that's where they made the mistake with Discovery, and we've talked about it before. Discovery's a great sci-fi show. It just doesn't always feel like a Star Trek show. And
true. And not to get go on.
No, I was just going to say Discovery also has some problems. The lady that plays Michael Burnham, what's her name?
I believe that's Sonequa Martin Green.
Yeah.
Yep, Sonequa Martin Green.
The character of Michael Burnham is a great character if she knows what she wants. Or if she knows, because she started out as one thing and then all of a sudden she's something completely different. And I've never understood that.
That almost sounds like a writing issue.
Yeah, and it's gotten better. It's gotten a little more seasoned and stuff. But at any rate, Picard Season 2 has been the best Star Trek they've put out in a while.
And where does one find all of this Star Trek content?
Paramount Plus is where it's at. So, yeah.
Paramount Plus, hit us up.
And that and the really cool thing about this season of Picard, I mean, something with Star Trek is always the ships, right?
Yeah.
We didn't get a whole lot of ships in the first season, or at least stuff that we haven't seen before or feels like those Star Trek Federation starships, This season we've gotten a ton of it, and it's awesome. So
I think I'm going to make you happy, because when we get into the news / general discussion portion of the show, there's something about First Contact that I had stumbled across that I think we should discuss.
Okay, cool.
Let's get to this week's movies first, because, there is, for anybody that says there's nothing for me to see this week, I've counted at least 10 movies that are apparently coming out between streaming and theatrical release. So I don't want to hear it.
All right.
There's a lot of movies coming out this weekend, and I've only seen 2.
All right, let's dive into the 2 you've seen. Where do you want to start?
I will start with The Outfit, which is the directorial debut of co-writer Graham Moore. If you've seen The Imitation Game, That was his previous film script that he had made. It was an Academy Award winner. It was actually a really good movie. But this is a story about a tailor shop that is the center of the Chicago underworld, because it is a messaging outpost for a group known as the Outfit, which apparently really existed. And it was like an underground network that they said ran from Coney Island to Santa Monica, and it was like organized crimes hotline.
All right, that sounds really intriguing.
Oh, yeah. And it's basically, it mostly takes place over one night with a cutter. He doesn't consider himself a tailor. He's a cutter, played by Mike Reyes, Academy Award winner, lovely, lovely man.
Okay.
And a whole bunch of other figures from the underworld sort of visit because there may have been a leak. And there may be a rat amongst them. And you've also got, speaking of Leah Thompson, her daughter, Zoe Dutch, is in this film. Dylan O'Brien from Love and Monsters is in here. It's so damn good, man.
All righty. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joining me to talk about movies. So The Outfit is really good. If you likened it, and real quick, we don't need to really dive into this, but if you likened it to another, maybe mob or gangster movie, what would you liken it to? That's
hard, but it's kind of, all right, if you saw No Exit a couple weeks ago and you liked that, you'll love The Outfit because it's a single location. This was a mystery that was shot in order. So it's just constantly tensions are rising, twists are coming, and it's a good time.
All right. So The Outfit is good. Go check it out this weekend. What else we got?
The other film that I saw this weekend, which I can't decide which one I like better because this just happened to be a really good weekend for movies. Ty West horror movie X. And
X.
Basic premise. Yes, X, gonna give it to you. And it does, because this is a horror film set in 1979, where a group of enterprising entrepreneurs are going to make the best, most high-class, artiest porno you've ever seen. And they rent out a house on a desolate farm, and things happen.
Anytime anybody rents a house to make a porno in the middle of nowhere, nothing good ever comes of it.
Except in the case of X, because the good that comes of it is this was an unexpected delight. And I don't mean that as in I didn't expect to like it. I didn't expect this movie to go certain places that it went. Because this story is more than just, you watch the trailer and you think it's going to be a great grindhouse good time, or it's like, maybe on the border of sleazy. Because, that was just the era, and it's fun to play around with that sometimes, like Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez did with Grindhouse. But what Ty West did was, there's some secret, emotional depth to this. You really identify with these characters. It is very sex positive about what it's doing, especially when it's set in 79. And you could very easily just have, the male manager character played by Martin Henderson from The Ring, just be a total douche to them. But it's like everybody is on the level. Everybody's out to make the best movie they want, and it's not sexist. It's not icky. There's a slight plot line involving one of the crew members being prudish, but it's not punching down. And this is such a slow burn that you earn the blood and guts. This movie slowly gets to that point, and once it starts, it just does not let up.
Awesome. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com talking pornos with me on the show this week. Puernos, as we called them.
What did you call them?
In college, a buddy of mine, it just stuck. We called them puernos.
Puernos. Brian, I rented a puerno.
Puerno this week.
Puerno.
All right, you said there was... I know, right? You said there was a ton of movies this weekend. Since we haven't seen them, I don't want to really run in depth through them. But is there any that are kind of standing out that you are really looking forward to?
Well, there are standouts. Disney has another Cheaper by the Dozen remake with Zach Braff and Gabrielle Union. That sounds interesting. Hulu has Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas's big movie together that they made when they were still dating, Deep Water, which is a return to erotic thrillers. And, it was directed by the man that brought us Fatal Attraction. So
erotic
I'm hearing mixed reviews about that. Yeah, it's just something that died off. There was Sandra Oh's in a horror movie called Uma that looks like it's out this week, if I'm reading this correctly. If you can make it to X and The Outfit, do that.
All right. Well, go back to the Cheaper by the Dozen thing, or what's it called this time?
Cheaper by the Dozen.
I don't know why, but I am so annoyed with Zach Braff lately.
Why so?
I don't know. I really like the show Scrubs, and anytime I see him in anything else, I'm like, I just can't take you. I don't get it. The Scrubs is the only world that I'm like, hey, Zach Braff is here. Anything else is like, Zach Braff is here. Great.
Yeah, Zach Braff. Yeah.
And it does,
they never did anything to me, so I'm okay with them.
yeah, it's probably that. Plus, I think I read an article in the last few weeks that it was like he's a huge douche to people. So,
Oh, I don't like that.
yeah, it's one of those one. I don't know if it's true or not, but I read it, and it was one of those things. Yeah, everybody on Scrubs was awesome except Zach Braff, so type thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I don't know. I can't explain it. I don't have a good logical explanation for it. I just see him and I'm like, Zach Braff is here. Great. That's wonderful. Can't wait. Yeah. Hey, Zach. Oh, you want to shake my hand? That's.
Okay, so if anybody wants to kill a conversation with B-sox and turn him into a sad panda, Zach Braff is the way to do it.
Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joining me on the line. I don't know. It's one of those weird things. Moving over to the world of movie news. What are we looking at this week? Anything big happen?
So while I'm only mentioning this right now because we're still sort of riding the subject of X, they announced out of nowhere that there is they've shot a secret prequel.
To X?
Yeah, they shot it at the same time that they made X. It's in post-production right now, and if you were at South by Southwest, they showed the trailer, but if you weren't, don't worry about it, because if you go see X this weekend, the footage is going to be showing.
It's just the hardest puerto you've ever seen.
Puerto. It's a puerto, Brian. Brian, stop me from watching the puerto.
Like, there's puertos, and then there's this puerto, is what happens.
Well, I can't even talk about I can't, but I really don't want to talk about what it's about. But it follows it's a prequel, and it's going to follow one of the characters in particular that's in the film,
Lorraine.
And what was really interesting is like the morning after like the movie premiered at South by, I see an email. And it's like, oh, secret prequel to X already been shot. I was like, wait, what? Like for Ty West to not only I think this is his first movie in 6 years. This is his first movie after being away from the world of movies for a while. To come back with not only one, but another one that you just shot, like just because while you were making that other movie, I respect that. I want more secret prequels and secret sequels that just kind of get shot around the time that you're making the other movie. Like they used to kind of do this sort of thing out in the open. Like I still remember when Warner Brothers did that Get Smart adaptation with Steve Carell. They had a whole direct-to-video movie that they shot and released, like when the home video hit.
Get Smart with Steve Carell was great.
I love that movie. I love that one. I wish they would have followed it up because it knew the idea of Get Smart, but it wasn't trying to play it cute or be like, hey, remember this from the show? It's like they had references and cameos, but it wasn't overbearing.
Yeah.
And then to throw in a random Bill Murray just being wonderful.
The Rock in that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, The Rock, everyone was great in that. I mean, you had The Rock, you had Alan Arkin, you had Anne Hathaway.
Yep.
It was just Patrick Warburton was in there.
Oh, so
doing
good.
his thing.
All right, so
robot.
the scene where he's shooting scene where he's shooting himself with the little harpoons in the bathroom stall.
Yeah. Folks, if you haven't seen Get Smart yet, go watch Get Smart.
If you haven't seen Armed and Dangerous, go see Armed and Dangerous this weekend.
Oh, yeah, that's another one that I got to watch, especially because we were talking about that off air because B-sox was a guest on a podcast that I'm associated with, Overdue Rentals, and he wants to discuss that film, which I think we could arrange at some point.
Out of nowhere, one of my buddies sent the video of the semi scene at the end of the movie, and if you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about and how great it is. So, anyways, Eugene Levy in chaps with his ass hanging out is pretty funny too. So. But as we do wrap up this week, what was the Star Trek story you were talking about?
Okay, so I forget where I saw this. I think it might have been just people talking about First Contact on Twitter. But allegedly, the story for the movie was supposed to be flipped, where Picard, or maybe someone suggested it. I'll go with someone suggested it, but it might have come from what the story was originally supposed to be. They had suggested that what if the story swapped, so Picard was the one dealing with Zefram Cochrane, and Riker was the one dealing with the Borg.
I've heard something about that, and there was also the idea of Picard stepping in for Zefram Cochrane. So Picard was so what everybody thought was Zefram Cochrane, the man who invented warp drive, was actually Jean-Luc Picard playing the part, because in the Borg attack, he was killed.
Oh no, that's an interesting concept.
Yeah. It was real close to. In Deep Space Nine, there's an episode where they go back in time, and I cannot think of what it is, but Cisco, it's the same storyline. Cisco stands in for a guy that
the
died.
Bellwrights, right?
Yeah, the Bellwrights, exactly. Which are kind of being alluded to in Picard right now.
Yeah, I thought I heard that.
So, but yeah, no, they had talked about that, and I forget.
I don't know how I feel about that, because I feel like the way that it is now is, I kind of like that they broke those characters out of their mold, because you would normally think, oh yeah, Riker's the more militaristic, boots on the ground, and Picard's the more history-saving type.
Yeah.
But especially because of the way that they use that for Picard's whole Moby Dick arc.
Yeah. No, there was that. There was something else about that. The little thing that got lost, and I don't know if it was in a director cut or whatever, but Lieutenant Hawk, the pilot at the beginning, he was supposed to be the first openly gay member of Star Trek.
That I didn't know.
Yeah, there was something about that, and it didn't make the story or something like that. I don't remember what it was. Trying to think of all the stuff I know about First Contact. The lights on the Borg implants, when they blink, it's Morse code, and it names like different people
I remember
on the crew. And
that was in a really cool featurette.
And I will tell you this, one of the scariest moments in any Star Trek movie, TV series, or whatever comes from First Contact, where they open the door and all you see is kind of the outline of the Borg and the laser lights come on.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah, that is still one of my favorites. And to think that Tom Hanks was almost Zefram Cochrane.
Yeah. That was a big one.
It's like it would have been cool to see him play that role, but at the same time, I can't think of anybody besides James Cromwell.
See, Cromwell's been used so much in Star Trek that the Tom Hanks thing being in as Zefram Cochrane, I'm completely okay with. I think he would have been a good fit for that.
Oh, I think he would have too. I think he would have been fantastic. I'm just saying I really like James Cromwell as that character.
All righty. Well, either way. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joining me on the line to talk about movies and news and all that. We'll leave it there. Mike, you have in what?
In Puernos.
In Puernos. Puernos, everybody.
Puernos.
Mike, you have yourself a good weekend.
You too, man.